too.
Okay.
All right. So now we're live. Okay. So you see StreamYard's excited for us too.
Wait, what?
Is it StreamYard's excited for us too?
Oh, yeah. Hi, StreamYard. Hi, everybody.
So, all right. So Tina and I, give me just a second so I can get this shared over to Indie Pods. And if you're not following Indie Pods, Tina, you can tell them where to do that while I'm doing this.
Yeah, definitely. Go to IndiePods United group. We're a really cool group. We hit 1.6K people today, which is so amazing because we just started it in October and it was kind of a fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing, seemingly, but it worked out. But anybody that's watching this that knows what happened is with us and we love you.
It's honestly, it is a very active group. So
Yeah.
that's one of those things. I'm in a lot of groups, and some of them aren't active, and you have to have everybody interactive. I don't want to just like, talk to nobody. Even in
Right.
my group, I don't want to talk to everybody. And if I'm in a group, I want to talk to nobody. So it's like, but this group has been super active, and I love that.
Yeah. And you know what? I realized, unlike other groups, and a couple of people have actually said this, not just from the podcasting standpoint, but from an entrepreneur standpoint or even entertainment, a lot of people that are podcasters are business owners or entertainers. I mean, it's kind of a great conglomeration of both. It's where it all meets in the middle of the road. Like we are that fork in the road that you want to stay at and you don't have to take a left or a right turn.
Absolutely, and I've had this conversation before on just the fact that obviously I'm kind of newer to the podcasting world as far as in comparison to like business, but other podcasters support you like no other. Like the podcasting community, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. That's kind of why I'm leaving this in there. But the podcasting community is probably the strongest community, and I feel like I can say that just because I've been in lots of other communities, and they're great too. I'm not saying they're bad, but I've never seen a community as supportive as the podcasting community.
And here's like where this can be across the board important for everybody. The podcasting community is great. It also has its pitfalls, just like everything else. So,
Mhm.
one of the 10 things that I kind of put together to talk about with you, Maria, is that you got to pay it forward and you have to lead by example. And the whole community was built out of love. And just like when you cook good food and you cook it with love, you can taste it. Like if you make a ham sandwich and it might taste disgusting to somebody else, but you feed it to someone that you love and you show that sandwich with love and they will love you back. It's so important.
Absolutely. And community, some people say network, some people say community. I mean, there's different terms for it depending on how you're saying it, but it's the same thing. It's just the idea of being around like-minded people who have a similar drive and are there to support each other. It's being each other's advocate. And I think that is so important when you're not only trying to build a business or build, a podcast or whatever it is, but just for companionship even. You
Right.
know, we've also, especially with indie pods, we've all become like family.
Yeah, I know. Remember I said earlier, I was like, you guys are like my weird second cousins.
Yeah.
And so it's like who you know and who knows you in any type of industry, anywhere, all across the board is the ultimate validation in any kind of startup, whether it be podcasting, entertainment, business, entrepreneurship. If you're new to acting, I did say entertainment. It's very, very important. And anyone that interacts with your business, they're going to want to see your vision and they want to see you see it through before a lot of people jump on board, which kind of was my issue with indie pods in the beginning, was like explaining my vision, which is where you really helped out, even though I fought it. I was like, no,
All
like
right,
no
I'm used
one's
to that.
telling me what to do.
That's all right. I'm used to that.
No, well, now I love you. It just takes time. And that's like, this is a networking thing. Now,
Yeah.
Maria, what we're doing right now is networking. This is all a part of it. And it's all so important. Like, if you had to come up with 3 mainstream ways to tell a startup business owner or a podcaster what moves they should make in terms of growing their network, what would you say are the most important and valuable things
I
to say?
As far as growing the network,
Yeah.
I definitely would say think about what you have to offer, because I think the best way to build a community and to build a network is a give and a take. And I think where I see it go bad is they're only taking. You know,
Yes.
a community and a network is a give and take. It is a give and take relationship.
Right.
So you should be giving as much as you're taking, if not more, honestly, because
Yes.
that's the way that you really build a strong community. If you're only there as a leech to absorb, that's not going to last.
A
That's not
lurker.
networking. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Absorbing, and that's fine. Some people lurk while they're trying to figure out if it's, their thing, and that's okay. That's kind of like testing the waters. But
Yeah.
once you've committed that you're a part of that community, you're a part of that network, then you should be a part of that community and part of that network. And I think it's really, really important to really define that, there's a difference between
Hi,
being
Tim.
a follower on a page or a follower of a brand
Right.
and actually being part of that community, being part of that network. And, you know, when you're building a business, and I've built businesses, when you're building a business, your network is key. We all kind of know that saying, we do business with who we know, like, and trust.
Right.
And we do. There's a reason for that. And how do you figure out who you know, who you like, and who you trust? And that
Oh,
comes from really building the relationships.
and experience, because like when I said lurkers, lurkers aren't a bad thing. They're actually a part of your network. You've got the people that you know fully support you, the people that you know you support and you are hoping that gets reciprocated later, and then the people that are lurkers, and that's fine. They're actually a very important part of your network. That's why you see people with thousands of views on Facebook and maybe they have 60 likes on that same video.
Mhm.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Or they
Dwowskin. I changed his name.
Dwoskin.
I know. I changed his name, and he knows that because I
Dwoskin.
like saying Dwowskin.
That's
I
like
think it's
the
fun.
wow skin. Yeah, anyways, go to
Yeah.
jeffisfunny.com. So, yeah, like you were saying, like I think that supporting other people kind of goes with that term that everybody knows. You get out what you put in. And
Yep.
also that age old adage, that adage, whatever, that we learned as children, which
Is that
is,
now you're actually making me question? Is it adage? I've always said adage, but I also
I
talk like
don't know,
this.
but
So.
adage sounds fancy.
Adage. Okay, so you
Adage.
can say adage. I'll still say adage. I'm not fancy, so it's fine.
Adage. But
But
anyway, so like we all know, like we learned it as 5-year-olds, treat others how you'd like to be treated, right?
hmm
So everybody, even in the business industry, should be doing this. The way that the world is now and moving forward, as much as we don't want to completely admit it, we know that it's becoming more and more of a virtual world. And so the times of handing out business cards at live conventions, right now at least, for right now, is not kind of in the forefront of where we're headed. And it sucks in some ways, but also there's a lot of beauty to it, I think, because I found a lot of really close friends, such as you and Cami and everybody in our Indie Pause founder group, through the internet. And they used to say, like, don't meet strangers online, but that's networking now.
hmm
Like, just be careful because you're going to get stepped on. And I'm sure we both have stories about that.
But that happens in the real world too. That
Yeah.
happens face to face. I mean,
Right.
and you know, I think a lot of people were super hesitant before 2020 about getting more virtual and doing a lot of things virtually. They always wanted the face-to-face meetings. And honestly, I've said this a couple of times before this, that's actually been one of my perks of 2020 is that I didn't have to go to all the meetings, all these meetings. I'm like, why am I here? Like, what?
I have to
Why
brush
was
my
there not an
hair.
email? Why, what are we doing? It would be a meeting that wasn't even a structure at all. I had no idea why I was there. I drive forever to get to because I live in the middle of nowhere, like
Yeah.
you do. So I get there and I'm there and I'm like, what was this for? So that has been a positive thing. And, a lot of these people have been shoved into the online kind of virtual atmosphere, and it's not something that they're used to. And I think if you kind of erase the fact that it's online and not in person, it's the same thing. I'm
Right.
sitting here in Ohio, you're in Texas, and we're having a face-to-face conversation.
Yeah, I don't have to smell you to know you're here and you're
Yeah,
listening, you
probably good
know?
'cause I'm kind of sweaty right now.
Oh, I'm thinking the same. I'm like, I'm glad you can't actually. I sprayed myself down with some, I forgot what it was. Giorgio. No, it wasn't Giorgio Armani. It was something cheap. I almost said Armani. Okay. So, another thing, like, that I wanted to talk to you about, like, especially let's talk about podcasting for a second. There are so many podcasting groups, and it's just it's a blatant self-promotion type group, and they've got 10,000 members, for example, but you're getting no likes there. That's not networking. You should be asking questions, even if you're not a podcaster and you're in a business group. Asking questions, building relationships, reaching out to people, taking mentorships, being a mentor. All of that is important, and not having ulterior motives. So don't let your ego get in your own way, because you're going to be your own worst critic. But the last thing you want is to be your own worst enemy.
Absolutely. I agree 1,000%. And, I know I've been guilty of slapping my information. If they've got the thread going, it's like, put your podcast. I'm like, fine, whatever. Even though I'm like cringing because I'm like, nobody's going
I'll
to do
bite.
anything. Yeah. I mean, nobody's going to do anything with it anyway. I don't even know if anyone has ever actually gone and done anything on any of those links. I probably just wasted my 2 seconds. But, I really think that Rob said something. Tina, use your
I
turn.
got it.
There you go.
He has the headphones. It's his fault.
That's all right.
I fixed it.
All right.
Thanks,
So
Rob.
anyway, what I was saying was, whenever you are in these groups, it's fine to kind of put it out there because maybe people will see your brand, see your podcast, see your whatever, and maybe there'll be some brand recognition. But that is, like you mentioned, that's not networking. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what, whenever we're saying you need to build a foundation, when we need to build a network, that's not what we're saying. That is not networking. That is an ad, that you just like slapped it up there. That's not networking.
Nobody cares about that, especially if you give no context whatsoever and you have offered nothing valuable to the table. Dropping your links, whatever, that can work slightly, but it's not effective, because maybe 1 out of 50 people is going to click that, especially without context. And it might even be an accident. Oops, accidentally clicked your link. Now you have a download. Hey, Jeff. So like, for example, my old event companies, I made my first company when I was 20 years old, and I moved on up and started another company. They were both event planning companies.
That was just like a year ago, right? Because you're like 21.
I'm 21. Yeah, no, I'm like almost 30. So you're almost 21.
Yeah.
We're 17 at heart.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that I've ever personally succeeded or failed at has always had to do with the importance of networking, everything I've done. And the failures didn't come from not having a solid foundation. It just came with the territory of being a young female entrepreneur. Like you said, in real life, it can be super cutthroat, even more so than online. I'm less scared of the people that hate me here in the virtual community.
No, I get it. Because what can they do? Unfollow you, block you, it's whatever. But I mean, and that's the thing. That's honestly the best definition of marketing yourself, whether it be for a business, just personal, like relationship marketing, or like for your podcast, is, when you're marketing, you are bringing in the people that are completely fine with the way that you do all the things. And at the same time, you're pushing away the people that are not your people. And I think that kind of can be said with networking. If you're networking, you're building your foundation, you're building your tribe, your group, your clan. I don't care what you call it, whatever. Same thing. If you're building your people, you want to make sure that you kind of speak the same language, that you kind of feel each other out on how they think, how they like to do things, because everybody is, not your people, and that's okay.
Yeah. And I realized as you were saying that, something struck me that was really important, like Tim here and the two Jeffs that are also here, Jeff Ploskin and Jeff Porrini. We love the Jeffs, and Jeff Revia, we love you too. So knowing people's names is important, even online. When you're networking and you're building those foundations and you're talking to them independently as a friend, but maintaining a business relationship, all of that is completely possible. But knowing someone's name is one of the most important it's not a tactic, but one of the most important pieces of building a strong foundation and network. People don't want you to think, oh, I'm nothing to them. She doesn't, or he doesn't even remember my name, Jeff Panini. Sorry. Why?
I
But
kind of
yeah,
like it though.
I like panini. It's making me hungry. So anyhow, yeah, like if it wasn't for Indie Pods, we would have never met. I know that we're moving forward and doing 12 days of Christmas through Successfully Chaotic. I'm super excited about that. Maybe we should talk about that. I mean, that's all networking too. Now we get to network with all the companies involved in that. And I think it's an amazing idea.
Absolutely. And I think, it kind of goes back to a lot of small businesses always struggle, but especially this year have struggled just because it's been such a roller coaster. And, I've had people talk about how can we help the small businesses? Well, there's a lot of ways to help small businesses. And yes, you can buy from them, you can support them financially, whatever. That's always important. But you can also just, there's lots of these like memes going around that says just like their stuff, share their stuff, promote their stuff. It's not that hard. It takes a couple of clicks of a button for you to support somebody, and you don't really know the impact that could have. It could literally be what saves small businesses. And, I'm always trying to think of ways to help the small business because I'm a small business owner and I know how hard, that journey is. People see it from the outside. They're like, well, you're your own boss. You can work your own hours and no, so
It's
fabulous.
so easy.
Yeah. And no, it's, they don't see the nights where you're like, what am I doing? Why am I, where you're
Downing
like,
glasses of wine.
Because it's so exhausting and you do question yourself. And even when things are going right, it's like you're just waiting for it to crumble, and so I think it's why it's so important to try to do little things, and I try to have, business owners on my podcast and try to help promote on that way because, you never know when that right person could hear and actually make such a big difference. And that's why I'm super excited to do the 12 days of Christmas giveaways and kind of showcase some of these small businesses and to give other business owners or other people, whoever's wanting to, click and join the entry, a chance to win these great prizes and to be able to see, that there are so many talented people out there. There are so many talented people out there. It's overwhelming.
And it's so important to give back. That's the whole, you get out what you put in. You're giving back to the people that deserve it and the people that notice it. And not only is it beneficial for both parties, but you never know. You're actually helping the people that are within it, like such as Robert and I doing something for that. We might be able to network with the other people that are involved, which is super exciting because that's what it's all about, is building a strong network and a strong community, whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important. Robert actually said it's good to work for yourself, but sometimes we do need guidance. And Jeff had said, sleepless nights and stress. Am I right?
Am I right? What? Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's just how it goes. And, it's great to work for yourself, but that's where the networking comes in, not only to help promote your business, to help promote what you do, to help, in those areas, but also that gives you a group of people to go to that you can literally kind of mastermind with and say, hey guys, I'm putting this out there. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm not getting the likes, the shares or whatever. I feel like, can you all give me some, like Robert said, some guidance, some tips, some tricks? You get that in a community and a network. You get kind of your own little personal group of people that'll say, well, try it like this. We'll try it like that, because we all think differently. We all have a little bit different experiences. And I think it is so important to realize that, if you have your own group of people, it's like, they're waiting for you to succeed. If they're the right people,
right,
they're wanting you to succeed. Well, your successes are their successes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your success is their success and vice versa. Because if you're also building your network in a sense that, okay, you've built the foundation of your network or community of people, now you move forward with those people. And from there, it's like a ripple effect, but a good one. Because usually that's used as a negative connotation. But here you can feel the positive ripple effects. And a lot of people have came back with good positive feedback regarding the event that we did, which you're a co-founder of, Indie Pods United. And they're just really happy with that strong sense of community, because that's where leadership and actions speak louder than words and lead by example all come into play. It's all so important, because when I first started podcasting, I don't know about you, but I didn't know anything. And I studied so much, but none of my questions were answered. So I went into those groups and I asked questions, and I didn't just drop links here and there. I was really, really genuinely asking questions. And that's involving yourself in a community. Not many people can. Thank you, Jeff. It was okay.
Yeah. For the people that have no idea what we're talking
Oh
about, you
my
may want to
God.
explain a little bit.
Yeah, so Jeff ate hot peppers for Indie Pods on day one morning. In the morning, he
Yeah.
well,
That was
he did
breakfast
more
of
than that. Jeff did a lot on that show. That was a really fun time. 6 or 5 grown men eating hot peppers in the early morning.
So what can make that happen? Networking, right?
Networking.
That's
If
not
you
going to
want to
happen.
see them eat hot peppers or something
Yeah.
similar.
I mean, that just shows the dedication. You know what I mean? It might be fun and silly, and we're talking about peppers and all that stuff, but what that really boils down to is there's such a strong connection. There's such a strong sense of community that people are willing to literally burn their mouth, puke, and all the other things that will go along with that.
No.
I had to throw that out there because that way maybe people will try to figure out what we're talking about.
That's the best.
So with love. But he said it was fun. It was fun. And, that really goes to show the sense of community that happens whenever you actually are in your right community, your right network, and you are having that give and take, because it's relationships. Your relationship building is what you're doing.
Yeah, and I love what you do with Successfully Chaotic, because you're a small business owner, like you've said, and you connect with other small business owners, but you also have a podcast. So you get the best of both worlds there. You're getting more knowledge. You're able to ask questions to these great guests you bring on. And so you're soaking in their information. You're doing cross promotion with them, essentially, even if they're not podcasters too. And that's networking, super important. And you don't have to be a podcaster to do it. It's just a good example of how that works. I mean, make those phone calls, do those Zooms, even if you look like crap, just get out there and do it and be bold about it and just be who you are. Because like you say, Maria, what's your quote again? Like, we all have our own brand of chaos. Or I
say
can't
a lot.
quote you on your own
I
quote.
have a lot of quotes that I say, but yeah, that's one of them. I mean, it all just kind of boils down to you don't have to be perfect, and I think a lot of times we have these self-sabotaging thoughts thinking, well, I can't do that because this person does this and this person does this and this person does this. But we all have our own kind of, brand. We all have our own authenticity, and people want real, raw, and authentic. They really do.
Yeah.
And, your real, raw, and authentic is not going to be the same as my real, raw, and authentic. And that's okay. That's what makes us different.
Right.
Diversity in a group, I think, makes it a stronger group, even though you need to have some like-minded thoughts as far as, your goals and stuff.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you have to be cookie cutters. You actually don't want to be cookie cutters. You need differences of opinions. That's what makes it stronger.
Yeah, and though personally I like to keep politics, etc., out of what I say and do on social media, and a lot of people are better off like that. Like you said, everybody's different, has different angles, so appreciate them for those differences, because if they're not shoving it down your throat per se and they're just sharing what they believe is their truth, that's fine in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's one of the issues we have today, especially in terms of networking, is you notice that you have one small difference, or it should be a small difference with somebody else, or you don't agree on something. It's like automatic hate, which is, it should never be that. You're both there for the same reason. You're both striving for very similar goals. So why not, instead of being rude to one another, just, if you don't support it, don't support it. But don't be that person to call someone out because someone is making goat milk soap and you don't want to milk goats. You know what I mean? Just a really terrible metaphor, but I think the point is.
No, I got it. I completely got it. Now I also have milked goats, so there might be why I kind of get that analogy. But no, I mean, I think you're completely right that, I think we tend to forget that life is so perspective based that, we know life from our own perspective, from our own body, from our own eyes, from our own experiences. That's our life. And, if somebody is posting something that is, hurtful or we see as wrong or whatever, you know, most people, like you said, have the same goals. We all just want to be happy. We all want to be a good person. And, their way of looking at things may be different than I look at things. Their idea of happy, their idea of what makes them a good person, all those things. But most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, they're not posting it to be horrible. They're posting it because that's how they feel. That's what they think. And, I think that, just being able to be the bigger person and to say, okay, well, that's their perspective and
Exactly.
roll on down the line. It's not that big of a deal. You can ignore it. You don't have to, acknowledge any of it. But I mean, I agree with you. And I think, luckily we haven't really had that in indie pods. I've seen it in some other groups off and on. It usually gets taken care of, right away. But we've luckily not had that problem because everybody is there. They're super pumped, super excited, super eager to really help grow their own podcast and literally to help other people grow too. And there's even some people in there that haven't even started a podcast, but they're thinking about it. And I've seen lots of questions and answers going back and forth on just how to. I do too. I mean, I think that really shows that there is such a strong community there that they're willing to, go in and help somebody else. Because I think sometimes we get so caught up in the competition. Well, I don't want to promote their podcast because then they're going to be their podcast. No, there's no competition.
Yeah.
It's a community. That's not how it is. And I think that's wonderful.
Look at Dan loving Dan. Or wait, no, that's Jeff. Hi, Jeff again.
Now Roberts. Yeah.
Everybody loves Dan. Dan also ate peppers.
So, and your husband said something we never did say, so I'll let you read that.
Oh, let me read this slower. We all need to take suggestions and need to be reaching out as much as we can to help others who have similar goals. So he nutshelled us on that one. That was a bad phrase. Strength in numbers. Everybody help everybody. Exactly. Because that's what it's about. That's a community.
Absolutely.
How they do the barn raising stuff in small towns, in small farms, and you raise the barn up together and it's just a celebration. So we can essentially do this online, and the greater the community that's built, the greater your network is. And going into a community and creating your own pseudo network off of that is okay too. You are allowed to do that kind of stuff. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody's going to dislike you for it. If they do, who cares? I mean, it happens. We don't talk about all those things, though, especially not on something that's supposed to be completely positive. But do expect that not everyone's going to love what you're doing, and that's okay.
Absolutely. And I think it's better like that because that's the, differences is literally what makes the world go round. So, I mean, I think that, we need to go. I always heard that saying, and this is also a terrible analogy, especially for vegans, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Oh, no.
The whole analogy, eat the meat and spit out the bones, is a terrible analogy, but I can't think of a better one right now. So I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Cammie and other vegans. So anyway, the idea behind it though is that you take what you need and forget the rest, and that's fine in a group setting. Even if you're doing groups the way that you're supposed to, again, give and take, there's still going to be things that's not your thing, that's not your wheelhouse, that's not your interest. That's okay, completely okay. And like you said, it's okay. I'm a member of several different groups because they approach things from several different angles.
Yeah.
And, I think it's important to kind of figure out again what your own, people are, what your own jam is. Yeah. And Jeff said that he's in the craft beer business as well. And every brewery will tell you it's a community, not a competition.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not in the craft beer business, but I've had clients and friends that are, and yeah, they love to go to each other's breweries, try each other's beer. It's because everybody's beer, even if you're making the same type of beer, this is a good analogy. Even if you're making the same type of beer, they're going to taste different because everybody's kind of got their own way of doing it. So, and it's the same thing with anything else, with podcasting, with business ownership. And, I think it's important to always look at things like, companionship and not competition. Because, I know within my marketing business world, there's been plenty of times I've had clients come to me and I've fished them off to somebody else because something they would say or something that they, their experience or their industry, I'd be like, who you need to work with? Let me send you off to this person. Not because I didn't think I could do it. I could have done it, but I couldn't have done it as well as this other person. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's important. I think it's so important to think of those things.
It so is. And it shouldn't even be about having to think about it. Once you're in that mindset, it just happens. And guess what? It's going to come back to you. Not to offend anybody out there, but if you take the word karma as a definition for what karma is supposed to mean, meaning you, exactly like what I said earlier, you get back what you put out, then that's what's going to happen for you. But you have to be positive about it. You actually have to be giving back. You can't just take, like you were saying. I mean, now we've pushed that really hard in so many different analogies, but that's what it really boils down to. If you're not giving back to your community or your network, then why should anyone do that for you? That's selfish and it's ego driven. And that's not how anybody can succeed.
Absolutely. And I think that is super important to think about for podcasts, for, small businesses, just for people in general. I mean, we all want to have friends. We all want to have people who are there to support us. But, if you, I see people just on my private page, well, it's not private, it's public, but my own personal page, my Maria Daniels page, that, they're always like, well, I'm just so lonely. I'm so da. But it always makes me wonder, and it's sad, people that are lonely, but it always makes me wonder, are they trying to go out there and make friends? And I know it's hard with COVID, but I mean, are they reaching out to people that, they know, or have they decided to just push people away because of some bias or some, silly argument or, whatever. And, I think it's the same with that could be said with anything. You need to sit and look at, I'm in the wine tasting business. I am in the wine tasting business, but yeah, you need to sit and look at, like, what do you want out of life? Like you said, what do you want out of your business? What do you want out of your life? What do you want out of, your podcast? And give what you're wanting. There's also this saying, you teach what you need to learn, and that could kind of be twisted a little bit to say you give what you need to take.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And like you're saying, I think that it also, like, to add to it, you've got to have a game plan before you do anything, which is why in our group, in our community, there are people that haven't even started podcasts yet. And there are now 3 or 4 people that have come to me like, I started a podcast, this helped. And that is like the best, most humbling feeling in the world. And that's why I really, and you don't believe that it's a competition. We want everyone to be happy. And I know that, like you said, with the loneliness aspect, why are they feeling that way? I mean, they can easily not feel that way by joining communities and networking properly instead of complaining about it, because I've seen a lot of people posting stuff like that. And I don't mean to be mean. I know that different people have different issues, and that's okay. I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking to the people that know that they can do something and should do something, but they won't get up and do it. And instead they want some kind of negative input to come to them because they prefer to thrive on negative energy. And that's just simply not going to work either. It's going to hurt in the long run more than it helps, especially if you actually feel that way deep down. Like, I need friends, I need a community. Well, go find your community,
Because that's the thing, a lot of times, and this is a sad truth, and I work with people a lot of times and they ask me the same question. Well, they'll be starting a business specifically, and I'll be kind of coaching them and helping them. And they'll say, well, what do you do whenever, you keep trying to talk to your friends and family about your business and, they don't believe in you and they don't support you and, And I'm like, always the same thing. I'm like, it's hard for the people that are closest around you to understand that your vision, they know all the million versions of you. And it's hard for them to see, what you've become. It's hard for them to see the butterfly from the caterpillar, right? So, and I think that's why it's even more important to reach out to, other people who are kind of in the same boat where they've, made a podcast or started a business or whatever the case may be, that also are, not getting the support they need in their everyday life. Because most of the time we don't. And I think we need to stop trying to make that type of relationship. Our personal relationships, not always, but most of the time, are not going to be the relationships that are supporting our podcast, that are supporting our business. And if we get so hung up in the fact that those should be the people, we're going to end up with our feelings hurt all the time. I can remember one business specifically that I started back years ago. It was a boutique, and I can remember like my own family didn't even come to the grand opening. I'm thinking,
Oh,
and I got severely butthurt. I mean, I was severely butthurt about that.
I would be upset too.
I was upset, but at the end of the day, and it was at the end of that day, it was many, many years later, at the end of the day, that I had to kind of figure out that, what, that wasn't their thing. They didn't dream about it. They didn't create it. It wasn't their thing. They supported me as a person. They loved me as a person. That's their role. Their role, wasn't to be there. I didn't ask them to be there.
Without them, yeah, like without them, like even if they weren't there physically for that, you wouldn't be who you are today because they helped build you up to have that confidence to go out and do stuff. So it isn't everybody's cup of tea. Wow, did I really just say that?
Cup of tea, glass of wine,
You're not everyone's glass of wine. And that's okay. Like one size fits all does not apply to any kind of business, does not apply to networking.
I don't think it applies to anything.
Yeah, or anything really. But just 1 second, I will be right back. I sent you a message in private, but I'll be right back.
I'm sorry, she'll be right back. So anyway, yeah, that right there was one of the things that, I think can hang up a lot of people. It can hang up a lot of entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs or podcasters is, they'll spend so much time creating this brand or this offer or this podcast, and they're getting crickets, and they're putting it out there on their, their Facebook profile. And, I know Jeff Dewalskin, which is Dewalskin. He actually posted something a while back that he got like, I don't know how many likes from one of his pictures of a pie. And then he posted his podcast out there and he got like crickets. And I mean, I think that's common. And it's, sometimes it's kind of hard to not get, completely butthurt by that when that happens. But it's also human nature. People just freaking love pie, Jeff. And I had the same thing happen and I get it. But they just freaking love pie. And that's why. So, when you're thinking about, just kind of the why of a foundation, the why of a community, the why of, building your own network, you need to sit and think about, who do you need? What do you need from them and what can you give to be able to receive that? Because it's definitely a give and take. And Tina's back from somewhere and
the restroom, ladies.
Ladies did tinkle. Well, that's good that you didn't just try to do it there. That's good.
I'm not ruining my
that's a good
blanket.
Thing. Yeah.
Oh, motivation doesn't just come to you. You gain it when you start moving and accomplishing things. That's true.
When you were gone, I was talking about Jeff.
Okay.
Jeff Goskin had, yeah. So, that he had posted something saying that he got so many likes on a picture of his pie. I don't know if you've seen that, but then he posted his podcast and he got like crickets. And I said, the same things happened to me. And it's hard to not get butthurt. I said, but people just really love pie. I mean, it's just, you have to kind of just think about it from the aspect that sometimes we'll share something out there and especially if it's for our business or our podcast, and we just kind of like, wait. But then we share something stupid or silly or, whatever, and you get all kinds of comments and likes. But I don't think that people are doing it intentionally. It's just not their thing, right? It's not.
Also, I mean, I agree with that, but I also think, and this is something we can totally get into another time, but we've spoken about this before, the Facebook algorithm, every different social media has, and why and how you're not hitting it properly and why you're getting 0 interactions over here and 50 over here. There is a reason, and we can totally talk about that another time because we're not going to give you everything.
No, not everything. Yeah, I mean, that definitely goes into it, but, I think there is a level too of just interest. And then, honestly, if they're not interested in it, they're not interested in it. That doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean whatever. It just means it's not their thing. I don't like white chocolate. I like super, super dark chocolate, like at least 85%. Somebody has a picture of white chocolate, I'm not interested. Doesn't mean it's not delicious to other people, right? It's just, again, it's what you like. Did you read that already?
No.
I didn't think so.
There has to be intent. I feel like I'm about to be Abe Lincoln.
There
There
you
has
go.
to be intention, purpose, confidence behind pitching your brand. All about the energy and incorporating the part of you that the passion stems from. Okay, that was like Shakespeare,
That
Abe
was very,
Lincoln.
yeah, it went from Abe Lincoln, like presidential, then turned into, yeah, Shakespeare. I like
Okay.
that. That was good though. And yeah, Robert, you're completely 1000% correct. I mean, I always say this to people too is, you know, people will, they'll start a business because it's something they're good at, but then, they get to a certain point and they kind of plateau. They get to this point that they're not sure even what to do to push it on. And it could be said for podcasts too, but you have to take a pause and sit and think, what's your purpose and what's your why? And like Rob said, if you don't have that passion
Yeah.
within you, you are going to permanently hit a roadblock, and you have to figure out, okay, well, why did I start? Like, what's your purpose? What's your why? And
Right.
the people that listen to my show or like follow me, they know I say this like a bajillion times because that is my passion. And my passion is to help people figure that out because it's literally the core of everything that we do.
That's the game plan. I mean, this is why it's beautiful to have two completely different people with similar minds. You're saying one thing in a language that is the same as mine, but in a different way. So you're talking about that passion and drive. Rob was too. And I'm talking about having a game plan. It's essentially the same thing. But now between the two of us, we can speak to two completely different audiences with the same idea. And that's a beautiful thing.
I agree. And Jeff said that if you walked
I
in and like
saw.
comment, yeah, I
I was
wanted to
like,
put that one
what?
in there.
I'm offended. I'm just kidding. Well,
I
I
I
would have been.
I didn't even get it until you were like, "What?" And then I got the other. I was like, "Ooh, that's funny."
Yeah.
And Rob said he's super excited about the voice you use. Exactly what he
Oh,
had in
thank you.
mind. That was his dream.
I'll use that more often. I'll talk in a Shakespearean Lincoln voice more often.
I like it. I think it was good. It was like, yeah, Lincoln to Shakespeare, and it was right on point. I loved it.
So, Maria, what are we doing next? And I mean, because we could talk about this all day long, but you've done like 3 lives today, haven't
I
you?
have. Yeah, I'm slightly exhausted, and I don't know what it is. This is gonna get like TMI for a second, but I don't care. That's who I am as a person. What it is about, like, when I like live stream or podcast, I sweat, and I'm not nervous. I gave up being nervous a long time ago. It's not like I think I get excited,
I do too. Like I
and
get
I
really excited.
sweat like nobody's business. So I have on leggings, and my leggings are actually,
Leggings.
I say leggings, yes, and that's fine. It's my
I love
southern accent, and I say leggings, and I'm not ashamed of that either. But they get like wet because I'm so sweaty. My
Oh,
shirt's
yeah.
sweaty, my bra's sweaty. So yeah.
I used
So
to
that's
just drip off my face because we would turn off the AC, turn off everything just to make it sound good.
yeah,
And I would be complaining the whole time inside. And then later I would really complain out loud. But
yeah.
and nobody else had to deal with it because they have good AC units, but ours is super loud, of course. It's just how it is out here in the country. So deal
Yeah,
with that. So
that's how it is.
leggings, that's a new one for me.
Leggings.
Thanks,
How do you say
Rob.
it? You say it all like leggings,
Leggings. No, I
but
don't even say it. I don't even think I use the word. I'll just
what
be
do you
like my
call them?
pants.
You just
Just
call them
pants.
pants?
Everything is pants. If it's not a dress, pants.
Rob said he's
My
sweating in his
jeans.
jeggings at the moment.
Your jeggings. That's funny. But yeah, so we honestly, Maria and I have spent countless hours talking about various parts of business and marketing and podcasting all separately, and it just can go on forever. So, and I know you're tired because you've done
Yep.
3 in a row. And
I'm exhausted. So, well, here's what I want to say. I want to say number one, um, you should go check out IndiePod's United group if you want to know why we're talking so much about community. And there's lots of other groups too, but specifically we're both in that one. So that's the reason I'm mentioning that one at this moment.
also,
But
it's the best.
it is definitely the best. But I didn't want to sound egotistical though, Tina.
It's okay to have some ego.
So okay, that's true.
It's
So
them, not
anyway,
us.
yeah, you should definitely do that. And you also should think about look into some other groups. It's okay to look at other groups. You can cheat on us a little bit. So you can go and look at some other groups and just figure out, like, what do you like? What are your passions? Like, I mean, I'm in a plant hobby group, like a house plant hobby group. And
Botany.
I love it.
That's
And
cute.
like we're all a bunch of plant nerds and we're fine with that. And we take pictures of our plants like they're our children and we share them. We all get excited about it every single time. And it's just how it is. And, they're my people. I could not talk to a lot of my other friends and they wouldn't care if I'm talking about my plant and how it just got a new leaf. If I talk to them about that, they'd be like, but my plant friends are like, oh my gosh, a new leaf. It's so cute.
I get it. Yeah, like there's a succulent right behind you. I love succulents, but I'm in a lot of weird groups myself. I won't even name them. I think I'm in over 800 groups, but the quality of groups, I would say about 20 of them are ones that I check on or post to frequently, like a lot of philosophical and psychological type groups, as well as because that matches my brand or our brand as a podcast. So those are places that if you're a podcaster, you can also network over there in those types of groups, and not just in the podcast groups. Go to what your niche is. But first of all, you have to find your niche. And that's another thing we could talk about another time.
Yeah. I'm going to watch this back and make some notes. Oh, we said we was going to do that. We was going to do that.
Brush my beard and do a shot. What is happening with our comments right now? Weirdo.
I don't know, but I'm intrigued because shots and beards, it's all good stuff. So
that's fine. Shots and beards.
Shots and beards.
Yeah.
That's a brand.
Yeah. Hey, that's a great podcast name. Shots and Beards.
Yeah, it would be. There you go. Jeff started another podcast all about beards and alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't have a beard. I love alcohol. Yeah. There you go. Did you even do that? I wonder if you could like lay it on top of a beard.
That's what I'm saying. Like flip it up like a flip cup shot into your beard.
I want to know if that's a thing. If you have a beard and can do that, video yourself.
Yeah, you should be on TikTok.
Yeah, you should. Yeah,
okay.
you should.
If I'm allowed to, Maria, I would like to say that I am going live with Luke Knoll, who did do the summit. It was just not free, the section he was in. So he was on SNL. He's a guitar comedian, and I'm going to be doing a stream with him later this evening. So go to my personal page because that's my name right there. But everybody in here commenting, I already know you and I love you. But also it's on the Psyche-Delic Podcast with a hyphen, Psyche-Delic Podcast.
It's a great podcast, by the way. It is.
I was on it.
I was on it, and that's not the only reason I think it's good. I thought it was good before that. So, it's a good show. I love listening to different podcasts, and again, I like listening to the ones where I actually have met the people and know the people more. So again, that's why you network. So we'll just end with that thought, and we'll plan to go again with some more of these topics. And Dan, Sam, more Luke. Yeah, more Luke
tonight. Yeah, well, in like 3 hours. Yeah.
So okay. So yeah, so that would be what, like 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m.
You know what? Good question. Because
hold on. Tina's looking to see the time. Because that way, they know where.
Let me turn my phone on, because when you live in the country, you've got to do stuff like this to get things.
Maybe your husband knows.
Does he?
I don't know. He hasn't answered yet.
My calendar is so messed up. I ruined my whole week. Everybody just
come back and post in there. You could just come back.
I'll say something in a later comment. But Maria, as always, good to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to have you on here. And go check out Indie Pods United group and join some other networking groups, community groups, then get your community on. So it was great.
Get your community on.
Yes.
That's it. Hashtag that. Yeah. Hashtag get your community on, Maria Daniels.
That could be our next wrap.
All right. Well, I love you. Am I chaotic yet? Because I haven't, I've dry shampooed for 3 days straight.
You always look cute. You always look, I'm usually the one that comes like peeling in here, like with like, it's just, again, that's my brand. And sometimes I get self-conscious about it, but sometimes I'm like, you know what? It is who I am. So it's fine.
I love you for it. Everybody's different. Like you're your own glass of wine, like you said earlier. Okay, so I love you. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to figure this out, and I will talk to you soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Bye.
Stay awesome. Brand yourselves properly.